Yeah, I thought so. I think there was probably some amazing contests even in the last 2 minutes where I'm sure the Swans players wouldn't have been too pleased about, but they know how to fight this group. I think that across the year we've learned to become tougher as a group, and I mentioned to the players in here a little bit earlier about how you'd sort of always see Simon Black as the player that was trying to lift the team, and we've got a number of players that are doing that now, and it's been good to be able to see that it hasn't been necessarily our older players, but it's actually been our players that have been around probably for 3 or 4 years that are starting to do that. So really pleasing that they're sort of taking ownership of the group and doing that. But having said that, the second quarter was where the game got away from us, and we worked our way back at it in the second half. But I guess the junk time in the end probably could eradicate that. But I thought for most of the night we're fairly competitive.
Was it looks like you weren't able to move the ball as quickly in the second quarter as you did in the first?
Yeah, well, that's probably spot on. Absolutely. And in a nutshell, I think it was just more our ability to get some flow in our game. They denied that us couldn't get uncontested marks and not a lot of flow, and that's what they do to you. They try and strangle you. But once we started to just open the game up a tad and did a couple of little things at half time just to open it up, and they were able to find a bit more space, and we started to get through and kept the footy a little bit longer. So. But yeah, across the whole game, obviously their relentlessness for the contest was pretty impressive.
You talk about other players that we have, not the senior players. I mean, Simon had a pretty quiet day.
Yeah.
Are you pleased that some of the others sort of came in and stepped into it?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, Leuenberger's one. I mean, his last probably 5-6 weeks has been outstanding. He's certainly been one of them. But like even Ash McGrath's, being able to get chase again, didn't have necessarily a fantastic night, but just being able to get involved. And I just thought that collectively they started to be able to want to impress. Aim Buchanan came on late. I know he's probably more in the older brigade, but his impact on the contest was superb. When he came on and was able to do that, so he was making a few people a bit nervous, including our own players, I think, at one stage.
Sorry, you mentioned Louis. You had to watch Mummy's game last week. You fear for Louis' safety.
Yeah. He's a big boy, isn't he?
Yeah, and he still looks skinnier than him, but he's beat his day.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's got his athleticism, we know that, but he's now starting to have that, game running where he's just the smarts, where to get across the ground, but also his positioning at contests. If you sort of play in front of him, he'll jump over you. If you start from behind him, he's now getting the ability to be able to hold his body in the contest and not get thrown around. So it might be just because he's so tall that he doesn't look as thick, but he's getting that real strength you need as a ruckman to be able to hold your position in a contest, and obviously that leap where he meets the ball at the high point.
When you look at your midfield, they're all sort of making advances individually. Is the next thing to gel as a unit?
Oh, definitely, and also it's happening. It's definitely happening. I think that Shamo Woden's done a great job being able to pull that group together. They're getting closer all the time. They're coming together as a group. That relationship that they're having. Sydney probably countered that a little bit in the second quarter, so we had to make some adjustments there. But generally speaking, their understanding and what to do and when to rotate and whose role it is getting better and better all the time. So the more time they can spend out on the field together, the better that group's going to become. And it's just that's what gives you a lot of excitement in your blood, is that you can sort of see, I guess, over the second half of this year, where we've seen genuine improvement in a lot of our players, and they've come in and had an impact at some stage, whether it be Paddy Carnesis in the back half of the year, or even Richie finishing out the season like what he has after missing 5 or 6 weeks, and obviously Louis' advancement. But that's just a few players. But I think collectively, our program that we've put in place is working.
What's the thing that makes you look forward to first day of pre-season?
What's the thing? I think the fact that we've seen a genuine improvement in our individuals of our players over the last 6-8 weeks, which says to me automatically we're going to get better as a group. We will. Another pre-season. We've got ourselves pretty fit this year, I reckon. Brett Burton coming in with the program he had, we got ourselves pretty fit. But there's a difference between being fit and running, 100 metres, a certain amount of speed, but then getting out on the field and having game running and being able to do that across the whole game, not just for 3 quarters or 3 quarters and 10 minutes, but for 4 quarters, and have that relentless approach to your intensity. So it's certainly there in bits and pieces, and for the majority of the games it's there, but we haven't finished it out. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most, because these guys are going to get better at it. They're going to get stronger, and they're going to spend more time together.
And just on your two Irish boys, like Biss has had an amazing season, and Niall didn't look like he knew the rules the first time he played, and he competes.
Yeah. Oh well, I think Niall's had 10 games, and you know, with the selection committee, we've basically put him up and bought him, left him there. I mean, he's just every single week he's learnt something new, and he's learnt something again this week. But he's just got better every single time. Everything you put in front of him, he wants to learn, he wants to get better. Pearce, I think, is had a fairly solid season. Still got some genuine improvements in his game, as you'd expect. But his run and bounce and carry and speed, his leg speed has been, a highlight for us and something that we needed. And his development's been important for our team. And Niall, well, I didn't have him down for any games this year. So, as a rookie, I thought if he gets a game, he'll be pretty lucky. And as it turns out, the opportunity that's existed because we have had injuries, he's just come and slotted straight back in there and almost demanded us to be able to pick him. And that's what you want when you're being able to get younger players.
Is 418, I guess, a fair return for the year, just given all the positives?
I know you want to do that. I mean, I think that in large part we could have come away with a season with probably 7 or 8 wins. I must admit, even with this calculating some games where we're still in it. Take those ones out. I thought generally we're in positions to win games, at least another 3 or 4 occasions that we should have come away with wins. So, if sort of 7, 8 wins is about where we could have ended up, I think that would have been fair. But we never want to finish wins with 4. I would have thought 7 and 8 is probably more of a fair marker.
And just a comment about how you think Sydney might go.
I think they'll go 5. I think anyone that plays that style of footy, that's finals footy. Their ability to take things off you often and be able to do it over a long period of time is very impressive. And when they're up and going, they're tough to beat. So I know in the first week of the finals, if you got them, you don't write it down, that's for sure, because they're a good footy team. They're coached well. They're a very disciplined footy team, and they've got that intensity that's required in finals.
So even though they're not in the top 4, they could potentially do something.
No, I think so. Yeah, I think at least to a preliminary final, they've certainly got that capability to be able to do it. Don't think they'll get there, but certainly a prelim would be on the horizon for them, I would have thought. Cheers.